Hello and welcome to another Meat Rebel Gaming video. This is the second in the Infinity Tactics series, which is a series of videos on my favourite units, the ones that I like to take the most and that I've always got mileage out of. Looking at some fun tricks you can do to give yourself a bit of an edge. The videos are more for new players, but I hope seasoned pros enjoy them as well. Now again, just as with the Ramble Hunters, we're going to be looking at units that I use pretty much every time I run Nomads, and these are zeros. They're availability 2 in Nomads, availability 3 in Bakunin. They're cheap, expendable, and really quite effective if you use them in the right way. There's 8 different loadouts for the zeros. They've all got anti-personnel mines except one, which has E-Mauler instead. They let you do all kinds of fun things. Zeros are camouflage troopers, so they have camouflage markers. These are ones from Arvor Studios. Here's what a zero looks like. They've got nice little dome heads, and they skulk around with knives to insidious purpose. There we go. So yeah, 8 different loadouts. You can get basic zeros with combi rifle, boarding shotgun, or a multi-sniper. You can get assault hacker, forward observer, deployable repeater, mine layer, and killer hacking device. As I say, they've all got camouflage, they've all got infiltration, they've all got multi-terrain. So you're going to be getting them in some really cool places right at the start of the game. Set up some nice interesting roadblocks as well to cause your opponent problems. And as I said with the Morans, if you can cause your opponent to slow down and spend more orders than they normally would and reduce that efficiency, then you're on your way to winning the game, because Infinity is about using those orders as efficiently as you possibly can. Get your opponent to burn as many orders as possible, as quickly as possible, and yeah, you'll reap the rewards. So let's look at some of the cool things that zeros can do. First of all, we're talking about a BS11 PH12 Armour Zero unit. They're not going to be, you know, going toe-to-toe with fire teams, not really. Although you'd be surprised at what, you know, a combi rifle or boarding shotgun and camo / mimetism can do when the chips are down. But you're not really going to be using them as a kill piece. You know, this isn't Kusanagi, this isn't Joan, this isn't a Kreezer, this isn't Achilles. This is a cheap trooper that really has no business punching above its weight, but even so, probably will. They'll always surprise you, they'll always frustrate your enemy. So let's have a closer look. Yeah, see what we can do. Boarding shotgun zero. I'm going to say something very quickly about boarding shotgun zero, because there's some nice things you can do with this guy. He's 17 points, so you know what? 17 points, you can afford to throw that away. Let's say we're playing on this this table here. It's a little sparse, isn't it? But it's colourful. And let's say your opponent is deployed over here, and your opponent's got some sneaky LF people there, just getting ready to go. And you've deployed your boarding shotgun just here outside their DZ. You start your first turn, and you're just going to be moving, because what you really want to do is get to about here and just open fire with that boarding shotgun. Now, you're going to get ARO'd by this guy who's going to be able to see you, but they're not going to be able to see you because this guy's blocking their line of sight. They're going to get hit by a template. You might take 1 down, you might take 2 down, you might take all 3 down. But straight away, you're causing problems for your opponent. And if your model dies, it's 17 points. You've already taken out, hopefully, some soft targets. It's a great way of taking out medics, a great way of taking out engineers, especially if you're going up against someone who's running a Rushi. They're going to lean on that heavily. If you can take out the engineer really, really early in the game, they're going to be running that Rushi a lot more carefully than they normally would. Other notable zero applications. Camo assault hackers. You've got a camo assault hacker, that's a superb thing to have. Let's say your opponent's got a HI fire team, you know, a bunch of knights maybe, or a bunch of Domari Butai, or whatever they're called now, just a bunch of HI, or maybe they've got a tag. You know what? You've got your camo guy just kind of waiting here. Come within 8 inches of that, and you're going to be taking an ARO. You're going to be taking a hacking attack. That's a really, really good little roadblock. Let's say you've got a killer hacking device instead. Again, your opponent's running hackers, maybe you're playing another Nomad force. Get that within 8 inches of an interventor and just sit there in camo and wait for your opponent to try and use white noise.
let your opponent try and do pretty much anything, and you can arrow and try and just blow their heads off with a nice hacking attack. I'm going to talk very quickly about Forward Observer Zero. Probably my favourite Zero. I tend to take one of these when I'm running vanilla Nomads. The great thing about the Forward Observer Zero is that he's only 19 points. And the Forward Observer Zero lives to do one thing and one thing only. If you're playing a game where there's an objective on the halfway line somewhere, and it's the end of the game, you've got one order left, and you just move your Zero to the objective, you make your whip roll, your Zero dies in a hail of bullets to all the enemies that are on suppression fire covering that objective, but you pass your whip roll because you're whip 13 and you're a Zero and you never fail, and you die but you get your objective points. Fantastic. And again, even if you do that on turn 1, if you want to get some points on the board straight away, you've lost a 19 point model and you've got points. Do it. Go for it. There's another really cool thing you can do with Zeros if you're playing vanilla Nomads, and this is something that I've used a lot, and when it works it's delicious because it can really frustrate your opponent, can really slow them down. Let's say you're playing against someone who knows what Nomads are all about. You're playing against someone who, they've faced the intruder before. They know what the intruder is, they know what he's going to do, they know that this guy's just going to lock down a fire lane, and they're terrified of this guy. They're not going to throw smoke and move up to the objectives because they're afraid of getting shot. Well, you can play with that a little bit with the Zero. Let's say you've got this nice rooftop here in your DZ, you've got a nice fire lane right across the table there, and you go, right, I'm going to put down a Jaguar prone. Okay, your opponent says, fine. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to have a camo marker. I'm going to have a camo marker just here. And your opponent says, okay. And then you've got another camo marker. Okay, just down here maybe, or maybe here. Just looking over here. Now, that may not look particularly scary. You might think, well, it's just a camo marker, But if you faced Nomads before, you're seeing a Jaguar prone on the table, or prone on the roof rather, and that Jaguar is next to a camo marker. Oh, why would a Jaguar be next to a camo marker? Well, of course it's going to be an intruder, isn't it? Oh my god, he's brought an intruder. What am I going to do? And every time your opponent tries to get down that middle passage there, or maybe along there, they're going to be thinking, I'm going to take a bullet. And I can't put smoke down because he can see through smoke. Oh, that intruder's really ruined my day. And before you know it, your opponent is burning orders, cautious moving. Burning orders to stay out of the line of sight of that intruder. But here's the fun thing. It's not an intruder. It's an anti-personnel mine. Because this guy here is a Zero mine layer. Now the key to this trick is that you put the Zero mine layer outside of the DZ, but you put the mine in the DZ. Or, I don't know if the extra 4-inch deployment for MI is still a thing. If it is, then you put the intruder, in inverted commas, 4 inches outside of the DZ, and the actual mine layer outside of that section of the table. Little things like that can catch people out. It's a little dirty, it's a little sneaky, but that's what keeps Nomads alive. Don't be afraid to be a little bit dirty if you're a Nomad player. You're in character. You're supposed to be dirty. That's the whole point. That's what makes us the best. But this is a really cool trick. And again, there are little fun things you could do here too. Like, for example, say your mine is here. Alright, let's say your mine is here. And an enemy model decides, oh, okay, I'm going to climb up this ladder. Alright, let's get a model and climb up that ladder. Here we go. He's coming up this ladder. What happens? Any arrows? You know what? No, it's not going to go off. And the mine isn't going to go off. Why is the mine not going to go off? Because it isn't in its trigger area, because the mine is the size of a base and there's a lip here, so it stops the mine from detonating. Little things like that make your opponent think that it's not a mine, it is actually an intruder or another model. So yeah, you can do stuff like that with Zeros, and suddenly you start thinking, yeah, these guys are really worth the points. I can do lots of really cool little things with these guys. But there's more as well. The Zero mine layer is awesome because not only is a Zero with a combi rifle useful on his own, you can move up, start taking people out. soft targets that are coming up and holding on to positions, things like that. You can surprise shot people. There's obviously little things you can do with a dirt cheap camo model. But the mine can help defend your interventor. It can help defend Kusanagi from close combat monsters. It can do all kinds of things. You get that mine down in a doorway, you can essentially shut off a thoroughfare for your opponent. All sorts of things. So the Zero Mine Layer, again, one of my favourite Zero loadouts. Now, one that I don't get a lot of mileage from is actually a Gulang, because as far as I know, there isn't a Zero sniper model. So this is a Gulang. The Zero sniper, I don't run this guy often, and there's a reason for that. Now, he's 26 points, but he's 1.5 SWC, and as any Nomad player will tell you, there are much better things to spend your SWC on than a BS11 sniper. But the thing about the Zero sniper is, well, he's only 26 points, and you know what? Every now and then you'll find a game where he just works. Because you can start him on halfway line, you can get him kind of here in camo, you know, or maybe sort of here or so, and then you start moving up. And if you're playing on a square table, there's not really anywhere for the enemy to hide that's in cover. So you can catch them in the open, so suddenly your BS11 is now BS14. And thanks to your mimetism, because of your camo, they're -3 to hit you, and you're going to be in cover. You might even get them in a surprise shot. So the sniper's not to be sniffed at. Just don't expect to be taking out elite units. BS11 is okay, it's not great, and you're probably going to be able to spend that 1.5 SWC in better ways. So yeah, this guy doesn't see the table very often, which is a bit of a shame really, because I do like the Gulang model for the Zero. So that's a few thoughts on the Zero. One of my favourite units, always makes it into my Nomad lists, always does something, especially the Forward Observer or the Killer Hacker. The Killer Hacker tends to be the one that I go for, and the Mine Layer, so that I've got someone to put the mine down and defend my soft targets on the back line, defend me from AD troops, defend me from sneaky ninjas, that sort of thing. And the Killer Hacker, just a dirt cheap specialist. Killer hacking devices are superb against hackers, but they're so cheap, and yeah, they just give you a really cheap specialist who can either take on enemy hackers, or if your enemy hasn't got any hackers, you can just go and get an objective, and you've not really invested heavily in the equipment. So yeah, there's the humble Zero. Not so humble actually, really dirty, really sneaky, really quite effective at doing what he does. Don't be afraid to send him up against slightly tougher targets. You know, Zeros can do well against MI, especially if the MI hasn't got MSV. They can always punch above their weight. They're really cheap, really interesting, really varied, and you're always going to be able to do something cool with them. Give them a try, give them a whirl, and be amazed. Alright, thank you, bye bye.